because I was always like, what's the title? Being the Ricardos, Being the Ricardos. And now, yeah, it's so ironic being the Ricardos. I knew her as the Lucy Ricardo. I knew her as though, oh, she was this exquisite sort of funny clown on a show that I would stay home and watch reruns of it. But I didn't have any idea. I had no idea about Desilu. I didn't know anything about their production company. I didn't know anything about her as a woman. I really was, like a lot of people, discovering Lucille Ball when I read the screenplay, and then subsequently went, okay, I'm going to jump in and now got to do all my research and homework. I was like, oh my God, because there's so many interviews and there's so much footage of her as Lucy Ricardo, but there's riveting footage of her as Lucille Ball, the woman.
Enjoy the show!
And action!
I had no idea it was going to be a hit. There was also things that she did that I was like, oh, I'd love to be more like that or learn from that. And it was just a really fascinating journey for me. I think what's interesting for me is that Lucille Ball, she was this woman that was trailblazing in a trail that's never been cut. Yeah, she was brilliant creatively and she had all these desires. She'd reached a stage in her life where she thought, well, I'm actually not going to get any further than this, and this is kind of it, which is okay. But she meets Desi, and Desi says, no, you're more. You're more than what you've done. You'll see. I believe in you. I've definitely been the receiver of that. Even this film, doing this film, my husband was like, go do it. We'll support you. We're there. I know it feels dangerous and I know it feels like you're going to fail, but if you do, we're there to catch you. That's an amazing support. Lucy had that, but she also had a lot of other things going on. I just was like crazy in love with her. And I've stayed really close to her daughter, partly because I think it keeps me close to her. Lucy Arnez, who saw it, was like, you've captured my parents. And she cried when she saw the film. And we were both terrified that she was going to be completely disappointed or go. But she had the opposite effect and therefore sort of gave us more confidence and more courage to take it out to the world. In terms of her, Lucille Ball, the woman, I'm like, God, what she took on. And I don't think anybody knows that about her. Certainly there's some hardcore fans, but the world doesn't. I've got women that work for me that have seen the film and read the story now and gone, I love her. I love what she stood for. I love how she, even when she was anxious, she would manifest all of that into her work, which is what you see when she's show running. Because a lot of that is to do with her personal life. And she's like, well, there's one thing I know how to do, and that's comedy, and that's direct, and that's make this show good. I know how to do that. My whole life may be falling apart, but if I focus on this and get the joke, at least there's something I'm controlling. Right. And that's fascinating as an actor. You know, how does anxiety manifest? How does pain manifest? How does vulnerability and fragility manifest? I'm Lucille Ball. When I'm being funny, you'll know it. This is getting out of hand. Madness. Have you been cheating on me?
The story's made up.
If they boo me?
If they boo you, we're done.
A lot of the film, I think it requires a second viewing or a third viewing because, you know, Aaron sits me behind the desk. We were sort of playing around and he goes, sit behind the desk. And I'm like, okay, I'll sit behind the desk and Desi will be in front of the desk. And he's like, put your feet up on the desk. And I've got the cigarette and and then suddenly my feet are up on the desk and suddenly Lucille appeared. But I would never go, oh, right, a woman putting her feet up on the desk with this room full of men, executives, you know, the Philip Morris representative, all of those guys. And she's got the balls to sit there with her legs up on the desk and Desi in the seat. But it says so much about her. We did some scenes over and over and over again. And sometimes he would go, I just want you to leave everything and just do what you do. Get lost in it because I feel you're best when you're not being ruled by all these exterior forces and the dialect and the look and the what you think she should be and all. Just be. And that's great direction, you know, because it's like going, I trust in my actors. And it's so layered, this script. So yes, there's the words, and then there's the subtext, and then there's the subtext to the subtext. So it's such beautiful writing. What it says about a woman who's going, I created the show so I could spend time with my husband. I want this show. Everybody's job relies on me getting it right. At the same time, my life is falling apart because I've actually, when you look at the film a second time, you go, oh, that's where she discovers that her husband's unfaithful. So I'm going to come into the one place that I know is the place that I can exist and have control and have the life that I actually want. But it's not real life. It's the show, which is why the title, because I was always like, what's the title? Being the Ricardos, Being the Ricardos. And now, yeah, it's so ironic being the Ricardos, because they create the Ricardos to have the life, she creates it, to have the life she wants, that she doesn't have in real life, yet she's trapped by it because she's got to do 36 shows. And the audience wants them to be Lucy and Ricky, but they're actually Lucille and Desi. It's a fantastic full circle. And then at the end, for the final line to be, Lucy, I'm home. That line is never in the show.
Action!
Lucy, I'm home.
I mean, it's interesting because at first Aaron said the one thing I want is the much deeper voice, and my voice obviously operates at a much higher octave. And yeah, I smoke cigarettes, but not incessantly. And it was sort of like, so I would do the vocal warm-ups, but it was so strange. And this is such a good lesson as an actor, is that I worked on the accent and getting the accent right and the vocal placement. But as soon as I became her, the rest of it just happened.
We've been through worse than this.
We have. I did all the work, the prep, listening and and wanting, and he would say, place it higher. And then switching back and forth between the two, the rasp just stayed, you know, it never went. And it was just, I love doing it. Get back. You're with Paul and John. You're with them. You're literally in the room with them. Peter Jackson, I don't know how he did it, but I love it.
The best bit of us, always has been and always will be, is when we're backs against the wall.
But how much do you love that band? At first it started off and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick with this. And then it's like, whew. I just love how nonchalant they are. Then they're not stressed, and they ask you, then suddenly they're just doing music. It's so comforting. It's the weirdest thing. I found it really comforting. And what about the clothes? Are you kidding me? The Beatles and Lucille Ball and all these, and Desi Arnett, all of them, they live on, you know, through our storytelling now, and teach another generation as well, which is kind of great.